Well, welcome back, everyone, to our daily devotion. It's always a joy to be with you. We're continuing our journey through the book of Jonah, and we've titled today's devotional, God Gives Second Chances. Now, I like the sound of that because, like you, I've needed a second chance. I've used it, and I'm on to many more after that, but that's just a reminder of the graciousness and mercy of God. I heard a story that puts that into perspective. I like sports, and I heard about A.J. McCarron, who is currently a backup. He's on the roster for the Houston Texans as a quarterback. And he actually had a spectacular collegiate career, leading Alabama to 2 national titles. But the fact that he was able to play sports is pretty remarkable. And the fact that when he was 5 years of age, he was involved in a tragic jet skiing accident. The accident was so terrible that his mother was told that he had 2 hours to live. How crazy is that to hear that? Well, the prognosis gradually improved and slightly improved, actually, when they told him that AJ was going to be paralyzed and he would have permanent brain damage. And then it improved a little bit more and said that he'd have loss of sight. Well, obviously, the doctors thankfully were wrong. AJ not only improved, but he improved enough to become a world-class athlete. When asked about his story on draft day, this is what McCarron said: God gave me a second chance. I was going to make the most of it. I feel like I have. I don't take life for granted. Perhaps Jonah felt the same way as God graciously gave him a second chance to serve and fulfill his mission. Look what it says in Jonah chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. Then the Lord spoke to Jonah, notice, a second time. Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh and deliver the message I have given you. Now, as we know, Jonah was reluctant at first, wanting to go there. Perhaps Jonah ran from the call to go to Nineveh because he felt like the people there were so wicked and they deserved every ounce of God's wrath that they had coming to them. However, God, as we know, redirected Jonah's focus in chapters 1 and 2. We see that. And now he had become very compliant with God's command to go and to preach. Look what it says here in Jonah 3:3. It says, this time Jonah obeyed the Lord's command and went to Nineveh, a city so large that it took 3 days to see it all. So now he's obeying, and we'll continue on that fact tomorrow of his obedience, but we see what a change from the beginning of the book of Jonah now to chapter 3. He's now going to obey the Lord and go. Now, our stories may not be as dramatic as the backup quarterback of the Houston Texans or our buddy Jonah, but they serve as a reminder that there is a truth here that you want to hold on to, that God is a God of second chances. And if we're willing to be honest and transparent, many chances after that. And we shouldn't take one of them for granted. Maybe God has delivered you from a medical crisis. Maybe they were getting ready to kick dirt on you, but God delivered you. You have a responsibility. I know certain people in my life, in my immediate circle. I know people who have essentially been given a second chance in that physically they were going to die, that it looked like there was no hope, and God gave them another chance. Let me tell you something. If that is you and you're listening to that, you need to take inventory and realize all the more that your life has a purpose, that God has you here for a reason. I would also extend that to the fact if you're battling any type of ailment right now, that be physical, mental, or emotional, but you're still kicking, you're still going. God has a purpose for you, and he's giving you an opportunity. And it doesn't have to exactly be like Jonah or AJ, but the fact of the matter is that God is the God of second chances. And whether he's giving us a second chance because we fumbled the faith in terms of how we're to live and we made wrong choices, or we had some catastrophe take place that was beyond our control, the fact of the matter is that we don't want to take that for granted. Let us make good on our second chances by using the blessings of our time, our talents, our treasures, that meaning prosperity, for God's glory. Let us not waste any more time living for ourselves. Perhaps the saddest thing is to see somebody who's been given a second chance only to blow it. We don't want to be guilty of that. God has saved us. He has set us free to serve him. And he has given us the blessing of a second chance in our life, and we want to make good on it. And so I leave you with this question. How are you going to make good on the second chance that God has given to you, and the third chance, and the fifth chance, and the 100th chance? How are you going to make good on it? My prayer is that you would not seek to live for yourself, but to live for the honor and renown of the Lord Jesus Christ. And so as you take inventory of your life and your heart after this devotion, I encourage you to look back on the life of Jonah. See how reluctant he was, but how God used the circumstances. God caused the circumstances, used the circumstances to bring Jonah to the place he needed to be so that he could be in agreement with God, so he could fulfill the mission. And when Jonah was given the opportunity, he obeyed what God had said. Let us have that same response if we've come out of our own storm, that we might fulfill the missions that God has for us. May God bless you, and may we all make good on the second chances that he gives us. Thank you.